Hi there, my name is Sierra Smith, and today I will be discussing teen and adolescent loss. This will be understanding, coping, and supporting strategies. Today we'll explore how loss impacts teens and adolescents. This age group is especially vulnerable because they're undergoing major developmental changes, emotionally, cognitively, and socially. Loss can include death, but also other disruptions, like parental divorce or moving away from friends. These events can interrupt identity development and emotional regulation. Going to our list, adolescence is a critical period of identity formation and emotional growth. Loss during this time can deeply affect psychological and developmental outcomes. Types of loss can include death, divorce, relocation, and identity-related challenges. Adolescents process grief differently than children or adults. Here on this slide, there's just some statistics about this is actually, I'm going into the criminal justice field, so I thought it'd be cool to include some stats from my field. And this is children within the juvenile justice system who have experienced a significant loss. Types of losses. Loss in adolescence isn't always about death. Divorce, loss of home, or immigration status, and even disruptions in identity due to illness or trauma can be profoundly distressing. For adolescents, these experiences can feel like the world is shifting under their feet. Death of a parent, sibling, or peer, family changes such as divorce or reincarnation, relocation or immigration, loss of sense of identity due to trauma or illness or transition. And then last but not least is secondary loss. Secondary loss is up here in this top left corner, and the grief is obviously the primary loss of the person who died, but then you also have your secondary losses. Things like loss of income, loss of identity, loss of faith. And then over here in your bottom right corner, all we have is ages 10 to 16. This is just the mental health issues that we've seen within our society and the percentages that correlate with those. Developmental impact of grief on teens. This over here on the left side, we can see it says the prefrontal cortex acts as the CEO of the brain, has been implicated in planning complex cognitive behavior, personality expression, decision making, and moderating social behavior. This could not develop until your mid-20s. Therefore, adolescent and teen grief has been proven to be different than adult and children grief. Developing identity and autonomy, increased emotional sensitivity, peer orientation, and risk-taking behavior are all developmental impacts on grief on teens. Because teens are developing a sense of self and independence, loss can challenge their worldview and identity. Many turn to peers who may not know how to support them. This can lead to risky withdrawals and behaviors. Manifestations of grief. We have the emotional manifestations like sadness, anger, and guilt. These we could actually correlate. I'm sure most of you have seen the Inside Out movie with all of the different emotions. We have the behavioral manifestations, withdrawal, rebellion, and aggression. We have the physical, fatigue, appetite changes, and last but not least, we have the academic, performance decline, school avoidance. And then on the right side of your screen, you'll see the 7 stages of grief: shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. Grief shows up in all different ways. Some teens may act out while others shut down. It's important for caregivers and teachers to recognize these patterns as potential signs of grief and not just teenage moodiness. Risk factors for complicated grief. Sudden or violent death, lack of support, existing mental health issues and poor communication with family can all be potential risk factors for a complicated grieving process. And then here's just some how to cope with complicated grief. Here's some recommendations, and then symptoms of complicated grief. There's a couple on here that really stuck out to me, which was like loss of memory, which loss of memory, I think they mean loss of memory as in loss of memory of the person or the memories they created with them. Protective factors. These are factors such as a strong adult or peer support, open conversations about loss, structured routines, counseling and grief groups. This on the right side of your screen is grief-related adversity. And this is basically if you have a healthy development through grief, that's how the slope should show. And then disrupted development can include things like mental health concerns, relationship difficulties, academic problems, self-esteem, early mortality, stuff like that. Grief and support approaches. Group counseling, creative expression like art, journaling, music, cognitive behavioral therapy, and trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. These are both very well-known and used. Peer-based grief groups and camps. This is like the Dougy Center. As you can see on the right side of your screen, you have a grief permission slip. This is a slip given to teens who have known someone who has died of COVID, and this is all of the questions that they are asked as to how much they would like the group to know about the loss. School-based interventions is also another very good grief support approach. Therapeutic models like trauma-focused CBT are evidence-based and highly effective. Support groups like the Dougy Center allow teens to realize they're not alone. Schools are also crucial. Teachers and counselors can be key allies in this. Cultural considerations. Cultural norms influence grief expression. Spirituality and rituals vary. Sensitivity to differences is key in supporting adolescence. Respect for rituals, beliefs, and cultural grieving styles. Support must align with adolescents' worldwide view, and spiritual beliefs can be a source of meaning and healing. Culture plays a major role in how grief is experienced and expressed. Some teens may not find a meaning in spiritual beliefs or cultural rituals. As supporters, we need to meet them where they are and not expect them to be where we are. Adult advice and coping strategies for teens. Normalize grief. Listen non-judgmentally. Encourage healthy outlets. Watch for warning signs, self-harm, isolation, open conversations and validation of feelings, routine and structure to provide stability. Creative outlets, like I said, journaling, music, art, encouraging healthy peer and adult relationships. Some of these healthy and unhealthy coping skills can be deep breathing would be an example of a healthy coping skill. Taking time by yourself, listening to music. While on the other hand, we have unhealthy coping skills that could be using drugs or alcohols, pretending not to care, oversleeping, shutting down, things of those nature. Those are the things we need to be looking out for. What to remember? What are the key takeaways from this? Support and understanding can make a lifelong difference. Grief isn't just something to get over, it's something to move through. Adolescents need understanding, not pressure to move on. Grief is personal and complex, not linear. With appropriate support, teens can build resilience and meaning. Adults, you don't need to fix grief, but you do need to walk alongside it. Listen, validate, and watch for signs of deeper distress. If grief becomes prolonged or interferes with functioning, therapy can make a world of difference. Teens. Teens benefit from being heard and taken seriously, allowing them to grieve creatively. Through writing, music, or art gives them an outlet when worlds fail. Structure helps them feel safe, while relationships help them feel connected. Adults don't need to fix the grief, just be present and supportive. And these are my references. Thank you.